Alrighty. So as per usual, just going to start with a bit of a warm up. So get yourself a bit of room. Going to start with the head. Just some gentle circles. Don't let it tilt too much to the back because you'll crunch the back of your neck. And more just down to the shoulder, around to the chest, other shoulder and back to center. Just at your own pace, just in the one direction for the moment. Letting your head relax. And coming back the other way. All right, we're going to warm up the shoulders. So just nice big shoulder circles. So really think about pulling your shoulder blades together at the back. And then coming forwards. Let's keep admitting people. Okay. All right. Now we're just going to try and create a little bit of tension in the arms, just to warm them up as well. So all we're going to do is extending the arms out, palms down to the ground. You're going to extend them as far as you possibly can. And what I want you to do is imagine that there's something beneath your arms trying to push up against you. What you're trying to do is push down. So you're actually creating tension and resistance without there being anything there. So just slowly pushing down as if you're trying to push yourself off the surface of the ocean. And the more you extend the hands, the fingers really reach out as you do that, the more that you're going to be creating that tension along the arms and starting to wake those muscles up. Really, really easy way to get a bit of muscle work in there. And turn the palms up. And this time you've got weights on your arms, on your palms, and you're trying to raise up against that weight. So again, really create tension in the arms to help with that resistance. And now we're just going to do some little circles. This is palms down. So relaxing a little bit, just little circles in one direction. And then slightly bigger circles. They'll be a bit slower, but bigger. And then we're getting bigger again until we get to as big a circle as we can, coming up close to the ears and down towards the legs. I'm going to go back the other way, starting big. So it's the ears and the legs. And make them a little bit smaller. And smaller again, so they're getting a little bit faster. And then we're going to little tight circles as fast as you can, going in that direction. And shake them out. They should be starting to feel a little bit warm now. All right, going to do a little bit of hip work. So just some hip circles, as big or small as you like. I like quite big ones because they do open up the hip flexors nicely. But whatever you need to warm up to this morning. And going back the other way. All right, coming down to our knees. So both feet underneath the hips, knees pointing forward over the toes. We're just bending forward and back. Just slowly in your own time, just warm up those joints. All right, going to get onto our feet. So just pressing one foot into the ground, so up into the ball of the foot, and then come down, pressing in again. So you're putting a little weight on it over the toe. That's just, again, helping warm up the foot. And the other foot. So onto the ball of the foot, rolling it up so you're getting a nice bit of warmth up there. All right, we're going to do some Achilles work and some hamstrings. So both legs pointing in one direction, both feet in the same direction as well, obviously. Hips turned in the same direction. Both legs are straight at the moment. We're just going to kneel forward on the front leg, keeping the back leg straight, so we're getting a nice stretch up the back of the leg, stretch along the calf and the Achilles. So you can take this as deep as you like. If you want to, you can give it slight pulses. It's entirely up to you, as long as you're getting that stretch. Going to rotate around, do the other side. We're going to start with both straight, bend the front leg, and let that back calf and Achilles warm up. Really think about pushing the back heel into the ground, keeping it there. So it's, again, just increasing that stretch. All right, do a quick little quad. So grabbing the one foot, bringing it up towards the buttock, trying to keep the knees together and the body upright. It helps if you just stare at one spot on the ground. You're less likely to find yourself falling over. and then switching to the other leg. Alrighty, so as I explained briefly before I turned on the recording, I'm going to take you through a slightly more traditional, I guess, warm-up or start to a class. So normally at the start of the class, your Gorei or Motodachi would take you through your basic footwork, basic strikes, pretty much just to remind your body, give you a chance to start getting the brain integrated back with the techniques. So don't worry too much if you don't get everything or you muck up here and there. This is designed really just to start getting you back into the feel of it. So follow along, don't stress. So grab whatever you're using for your Naginata today. So we're going to start back in Naure. So feet together, so our heels together, toes a little bit out. Right hand is sitting on our right hip. The left hand is down behind our side. Body is straight, standing up. Just going to bow to each other, so just 15 degrees. So you should be able to still see me, and make sure you're bending from as if someone's pushed you in the stomach. You're not letting your backside go out behind you. So don't let that happen. Bend from the waist. So, red. Shuroni kamae, so left hand on top, left hand steps forward. Make sure that you've got your distances correct. So your backhand, your right hand, should have the elbow at the end of your weapon. Then you'll have your arms just outside shoulder width. Right hand is sitting in the top of the Y where your leg meets the groin, and left hand will just be out in front, wherever it naturally sits from that point. So we're just going to work through our footwork. So, ayumiashi, mai, so going forward. Ich, ni, san, shi. Going backwards. Ayumiashi, ato. Ich, ni, san, shi. Ayumiashi, mai. Ich, ni, san, shi. Ayumiashi, ato. Okuriashi, so just the same step. Okuriashi, mai. Okuriashi, mai. Okuriashi, mai. Okuriashi, ato. Okuriashi, ato. Okuriashi, ato. Okuriashi, mai. Okuriashi, mai. Okuriashi, ato. Okuriashi, ato. Sugiashi, so remember one foot comes in and then you do an okuriashi. Sugiashi, mai. Sugiashi, mai. Sugiashi, ato. Sugiashi, ato. Sugiashi, mai. Sugiashi, mai. Sugiashi, ato. Sugiashi, ato. I'll face forward so you can see this one a little bit more clearly. We're doing Furikayashi, which is the rotational step. So we're going to go migi, which is right first. So migi ni haraki, step with the right. Migi ni haraki. Migi ni haraki. Going to the left, or hidari. Hidari ni haraki. Hidari ni haraki. Hidari ni haraki. Good. We'll do Furikayashi. So if you need to, just pop the Naginata into one hand, into your right hand. So Furikayashi. Step forward, and then bring the left leg back. Furikayashi. Bring it both forward, and step back with the right. Furikayashi. Right foot forward, left foot back. Furikayashi. Back. Okay. We're going to go through our basic cuts. So just see how you go with the technique. We can always talk about any issues you're finding afterwards. So again, I'll do this from the side just so you can see everything that's going on. So, furiagete, men no ute, men, sugiashi. Furiagete, men wo ute, men, sugiashi. Furiagete, men wo ute, men, sugiashi. One more. Furiagete, men wo ute, men, sugiashi. We're going to do hustle. Oh, sorry. We'll do furiagete snake first. My bad. Remembering that with the snake cuts, you're always going to step a little bit further. You're going to bend with the front knee, and your back hand is going to end up a little bit higher to accommodate the angle down. So you're going to have it more around about the sternum rather than low down. Furiagete, snare wo ute, ne, sugiashi. Furiagete, snare wo ute, ne, sugiashi. Furiagete, sne o ute, sne, sugeashi. Furiagete, sne o ute, sne, sugeashi. Good. We'll do hustle, so the sokumen cut, so we're going to the side of the head here. Remember, we're aiming for about 15 degrees from the center of the head. And with this one, you're thinking about the hand that's at the hip will be coming straight into the base of your sternum to create your higher angle. So, Shura no kumae. We're going to go into Hasso no kumae, so hands to the center, back hand up towards the ear. This left hand at the front of the hip is going to go straight into my sternum as we go Sokumen roll with that. Mem. Sugeashi backwards, bring your hands down to Chudan. Hasso ni kumae, hands to the center, left hand to your ear. Right hand's going to come to sternum. Sokumen roll with that. Mem. Sugeashi. Sokumen roll with that. Mem. Sugeashi. Sokumen roll with that. Mem. Sugeashi. I'm going to take you through a call that I don't believe I've run on the online class before. It's called Sayu. Sayu really generally only happens with something where you're switching sides in Naginata, and it's basically telling you to do the cut twice, so you're attacking on both sides. So in this case, it's going to be 2 sokumen or 2 hustle men cuts, one after the other, no stopping. So I'll just demonstrate for you. So Sayu meno ute, I go into hustle, I strike, I go straight into hustle, I strike. So that's Sayu. And the difference there is we don't come back into Chudan after the first sokumen cut. So, coming into Chudan, Sayu, meno ute, come into hustle, strike men, come back into hustle, strike men. Men. Sugeashi, and you need to do 2 steps depending on your space. We'll do that again. Sayu, meno ute, hustle, men, sugeashi. So the idea with the sugeashis backwards is that they're supposed to take you back to where you started so you have room to continue on afterwards. I'm just going to grab a drink. All right. Next one I'm going to look at is hustle sne. So again, same hustle technique, but we're coming down to the heels. So I just want to shake something because it's looking a bit fuzzy on my video and I'm not sure if it's coming through badly for you. Hopefully not. All right. So we're going to do hustle sne. Again, bending into it with the front leg, and the back hand is going to come up a little bit higher towards the sternum to create that steeper angle. So, hustle no kumae. Sne o ute, ne, sugeashi, backwards. Sne o ute, come into hustle, ne, and back. Sne o ute, ne, sne o ute, ne. Like with hustle men, we can also do sayu men. So we can do this twice. We won't come back into Chudan in between. This is going to be 2 hustle sne, 1 from each side. Do not come back to Chudan in between, go straight back into hustle. So, sayu sne o ute, into hustle, sne, into hustle, sne. And then move back to your position. We'll do that again. Sayu sne o ute, sne, sne. We'll do it one more time. Sayu sne o ute, sne, sne. Good. So we did one more technique in the last few weeks, which is Furikayashi. This is kind of that water wheel motion. So I'm going to do this one from the side to begin with, and then I'll show you from the front again. So Furikayashi, we're just going to step forward for each of these ones and then come back. So Furikayashi, men o ute, bring it down, men. Furikayashi, men o ute, bring it down beside you, and men. If I do it facing you, Furikayashi, men o ute, feet together, men. Furikayashi, men o ute, men. So take it slowly. Remember that whichever is your front leg, that's the direction the Naginata is going to drop down towards. And you want to try and get your hands above your head and centered and together before you bring it down. into what is basically a Furikayshi men cut. Again, don't stress out if this one's not quite coming together. Furikayashi, men no ute, hands together, men. If this is your right hand forward command, it's going to come behind your body towards the backside. Furikayashi, men no ute, men. Furikayashi, men no ute, men. Furikayashi, men no ute, men. Last one. Furikayashi, men no ute, men. Sorry, I lied. One more. Furikayashi, men no ute, men. Good. That's just to get us back onto Hidari Chudan. Now, we have gone through Jogobori, so normally at the end of our normal warm-ups, this is what this is, we would do a little bit of Jogobori, and this is just to focus on our breathing, calm down our motions, and really extend our cuts. So the difference between this and Furikayshi, so Furikayshi, we're stepping forward and trying to do a cut. Jogobori, we're bringing both feet together as we bring the hands above the head. And then as we come back, we kneel into it with both legs. And we stop when our front hand touches our front leg. So our back hand ends up behind us. So it's quite a relaxed position. So we breathe out as we come up. And as we come down. Out. And in. Out. And in. Out. And in. Out. And in. And trying to keep as straight a line as possible. So out. And in. So it's coming down the center of your body. Out. And in. So we're doing these quite slowly because I'd rather you focus on the lines that you're creating and what's happening with your body. But these are very open movements. They're part of a bigger set that we call Happobori, which gets you to basically demonstrate the majority of our cuts in a much more open fashion. Yame, so just stop there at Chudan. I'm just going to grab a drink because it is rather warm and dry out here this morning, so I feel free to grab a drink if you need to. Otherwise, I'll end up coughing and spluttering at you. All right. So, does anyone have any questions, concerns, issues so far with any of what we've gone over? No? Good from Effie? You're okay from Ruben and Tom there? All right. Sorry, for some reason, the video feed I'm getting of all of you is really fuzzy, so I'm not sure if it's just I've got a bad connection. I hope I don't for your sake.
You're looking okay, Em, from my end.
Okay. So it's just my laptop playing up. Good to know. All right. So hopefully that just gave you a little bit of a refresher in all the basic footwork, all the basic cuts. So as promised, I want to try and run us through a few different techniques. So I'm going to quickly go through Uchikaishi, which is one of the early patterns I taught you. It consists of Furikayshi men, Sayu men, Sayu sne, and then Sugiyashi back to Chudan. We're just going to run over that together. So we're just doing the attacking side at the moment. I'll stand off to the side because it's probably a little bit easier for you here. So we start with Furikayshi men. Men. We go straight into hustle. And this is going to be the first of two cuts. We're doing Sayu men. So men, come back into hustle. Men. I'm going to move back so you can see. And then we're going to finish up with two hustle sne. So Sayu sne. Come back into hustle. Ne. Ne. And Sugiyashi. If you're running out of room, just take a step back after each one, so I'm not running through it too fast. So I'll do it facing you now. Furikayshi men. Men. Hustle. Men. Men. Hustle. Men. Men. Hustle. Ne. Ne. Hustle. Ne. Ne. And Sugiyashi back to Chudan. I know it might sound a bit strange that I'm saying the attack and then I'm also PIing, but that's just to give you an idea of what you are aiming towards. So if we're going to do the full set, again, we start with Furikayshi, men, go into hustle, men, hustle, men, hustle, ne, hustle, ne, and Sugiyashi. So normally there wouldn't be anyone calling out the different attacks. You just know the pattern, you'd work through it, and you would ki as you made each strike. So you're trying to time your ki, or the naming of the target, at the same time as you actually hit that. So, sorry, just 1 second, folks. I'm teaching a class. Naginata. Oh, welcome to if you ever want to. It's a Japanese halberd weapon. Well, I'm teaching online, so yeah, all good. You never know who you meet. All right, so back to Uchikaishi. So normally you are trying to get your ki to line up with the final bit of your strike, so that everything is finishing at one key moment in time. So you're like this beautiful, noisy picture, really. Let's try and run through it again. I'm not going to call out the cuts, so follow along visually, but try and remember what we're after. Furikayate men, sayu men, sayu sne, sugiyashi. So you do this in your own time. Again, if you need to move back at any point, go right ahead, or if you want to do it all on the spot, that's fine too. So, Uchikaishi, hajime, men, 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 ne, ne. Good, roll it out. If I haven't explained before, and I'm not sure I have, hajime means begin or start, yame means to stop. So if I say hajime after I announce the technique, that means you basically begin in your own time. So, Uchikaishi, hajime, men, 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 ne, ne. Good. So what I'd like to do is just run through the blocks for this. The blocks are a lot harder. They take a bit more coordination, and don't worry if you mess up. Really with Uchikaishi, as long as you're blocking the target, it can be said you're doing a fairly decent job of it. There are very specific techniques that we try and aim for, but they take a while to learn, and it is a lot harder online. So remembering that the first attack is coming for our men, we're going to pull the weapon through with our right hand, pull it through our left hand to block with our weapon up the top. So our blade up the top. This is sendan maki blocking for the men. So that's the first attack. Second attack and third attack are coming for your head as well. And each time we want to block with a different end of the weapon while turning 180 degrees. So here's our first block. We're going to step behind us, so with our left leg going behind, and we're going to bring the butt or the ishizuki of the weapon, so the one that doesn't have the blade, up to block men. So step back and block with the blade. So like this. Now our next one, again, they're coming for our head. So we want to step back with our right foot, and we want to block with the blade again. So we bring that up and block. The next block is coming for our leg. So we're going to get our left leg out of the way by taking it behind us and block again with the butt of the weapon. So we turn and block. This last one's a bit harder, so I'm not going to fuss too much about how you get to it. But again, you want to get the blades, this bit up here, down to block your leg as you step backwards. So normally you would rotate it over the top as you come through. I'm not going to get into the fine details of too many of the positions for Gator because it's a bit harder when you don't have the actual weapon. It won't turn quite the same. So as long as you're trying to block with the opposing end each time as you step backwards, that's going to give you a very good idea of how this works. So we start in Chudan. They're coming for Furikayashi, we pull through with our right hand, we block men. They're coming for a head, we turn and block men. They're coming for our head, we turn and block men. They're coming for our front leg, we turn and block our leg. They're coming for our right leg, we turn and block our front leg. And then as they sugiyashi backwards, we move our weapon back into Chudan no kuma. So run through one more time quickly. Chudan, lock men, lock men, lock men, lock snare, lock snare, and then back to Chudan. So what we're going to do is we'll do one very quick round, so I don't want to take up too much of the session with this. I'm going to attack, so you can practice those blocks we've just done, and you can kind of see what you'd be attacking or blocking, what you'd be defending as I attack, and then we'll switch around and I'll get you to do the attacks and I'll block. So again, don't worry too much. As long as you're blocking the target and you're trying to do it with the opposing end each time, don't worry too much about the rest of the position. Okay, so we both start in Shura no Kamae. I'm going to attack men, so you're going to step back and block men. Men. I'm going for your head again, so you're going to turn and block with the other side. Men. You're going to defend your head again. Men. You're going to defend your leg. Men. You're going to defend your other leg. Men. And you're going to Tsugiyashi backwards. We come to Chudan. Do that one more time. So I attack men. Men. You block men. Men. You block men on the other side. Men. You block snake. Net. You block snare on the other side. Net. You Tsugiyashi backwards, and we both come up back to Chudan. Okay. I'm going to take a quick drink because all the explaining is drying me out. We're going to reverse it now. And so you're going to do the attacks, and I'm going to do the blocks for you. So you can kind of see what I'm trying to achieve. Obviously, timing is going to be a little bit different for all of us. So I will explain what I'm doing and tell you what you would be doing. We both start in Shura. So you're going to start by doing a Furikayagi menka as I block. You're now going to do sayume, so sokumen, so you're going to go for my head, and I defend. You're going to do another hasomen, and I defend. You're going to go for this front leg here, and I defend. You're going to do another haso snare, and I defend. I push the Naginata back into Chudan, and you will also move into Chudan. We'll do that one more time. So, both in Chudan no Kamae, we're crossing weapons. You're coming for Furikayagi men. You're coming for haso men. You're coming for haso men. You're coming for haso snare. And you're doing last final haso snare. You're in Tsugiyashi backwards into Chudan. Good. So that's Uchikaishi. How did you find that? Any problems? Any issues? Feel weird? Feel better?
With some of the shinai strikes, going from sort of over the knee down with the first one, and then coming up. Like what sort of movements am I looking for? Like coming up into it?
Okay, right. I think this is back to the leggings time. Might help a little bit more. So this one's quite weird. When you're starting to do things like say or move straight into another cut, your balance is going to be a little bit off. And as you absolutely well identified there, once you're coming from a snake position, it's much harder to kind of come back to center because you're used to learning everything from Chuda, which is our standard neutral position. So if I do our first snake cut, so you're right, my weight is a little bit over on the front leg. What I try and do from here is as I bring my hands to center, I push back off that front knee. So I'm coming a little bit more centered, it's pushing me upright again. So that while it's a bit wide, it's not too far off our normal stance. So now that I'm more centered, I can reset to do my next snei or menka. So if I try that from the other side, so you can see the picture there. So my first snei here, again, the weight's a little bit over this leg here. As I bring my hands back to center, I bring my weight back to center as well. So everything's structured down the middle of my body, nicely centered, balanced, so that I can do my next snake cut without having that unbalanced effect. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's really good. Thank you. It
does take a while. It's not something that comes instinctively sometimes, but after a while, you're remembering you're trying to always come back to a fairly balanced stance. And snei is one of those where it does push you off because the weight is a little bit forward. So you just have to remember as you come back into your next position, whatever it is, you want to be coming back to a fairly neutral position, however that will be. Because trying to do snei from here, that's really, really hard. So really good question. Thank you for raising that one, Tom. Alrighty. But other than that, how did you all find the trying trying to attack and receive with a visual reference. Work better for you? Helpful? Yeah, okay, a few thumbs up, good. All right, we're half past, so we've still got 30 minutes. Excellent. Let's have a quick look at some of the kata we went through. So, starting with kata number 1, ipponme, furikayashii men, hasso sne. And what I'd like to do today is run you through the receiver role as well. But to do that, let's just refresh what the attacker role is. So we start in Chura no Kamae. As the shidachi, or the attacker, we're going to initiate the movement. So we'll go into furikayashii men, men. And then we'll go straight into hasso sne. Now, normally we wait here while they do their thing. They've done the thing, la, 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 attacked us, step back. We're going to push off our right legs. We push our right leg to come back to our left leg, hands centered to our body. And then we're going to step forward with our left foot and the left hand back to chudan. And they'll walk us back to center 4 steps. So, ayumiyashi, ich, ni, san, shi. So if I'm doing it facing you, we'll do that again. Furikayashii men, men, hasso sne, sne. They do their thing, they come in, they attack, they step back. We push off our right leg to step back. And then we step forward to meet our partner. And they're going to walk us 4 back steps, so we start back where we began. Ich, ni, san, shi. So, nothing too complicated there for the shidachi roll. So, what I want to do is show you what the uchi roll is doing so that you can start taking those in. And this will give you a few more blocks. It will give you a better concept of how it all fits together. So, the first thing they're doing is they're coming for furikayashii men. So like we did before, we're going to pull with our right hand, pull the weapon through so that we're blocking men. So you've already done this one for Uchikaishi. In fact, it's very similar because the next thing you're doing is hasso sne. So as that happens, we're going to take our left foot behind us and rotate the Naginata around, pushing out slightly if we have to defend our sne. This is basically where we're finishing here. Okay. We're going to do what we call a nuite, and this is a step out of reach, basically. So they've got our weapon pretty much where the white tape on my Naginata is at the moment. And I'm going, ooh, I don't like it, I'm a bit close. So if I'm here and they're there, I'm not just going to step away from them, I'm going to step off to the side. So if you imagine that they are in a straight line, pretty much where you would be on my camera right now, I'm going, okay, I'm going to step off with my left foot off to the side, bring my right foot in so that I'm back in my correct kamae. And as I do so, I'm going to pull the weapon up into hasso. So we're doing kuridashi, where we're moving the blade further away from us. So if I just show you from the side here, so this is where we blocked. Our left hand at the top is going to pull the weapon through until we're into hasso. So whereas kurikomi is pushing the blade closer to us or pulling it closer to us, kuridashi is where we throw it away. So our block is here, our blade is up by our head. As we step back, we bring it up into hasso. So in that one movement, we've achieved 2 things. We've gotten away from them, and we've also gotten ourselves in a position where we can attack. So I can see Kaylin's just trying to join here. There we go. So that's 2 movements we're doing at once. Let's take it back to the start. So we're in chudan. Hey, Kaylin, just to refresh, we're doing ipponme, and we're learning the uchi side, the receiver side. So chudan no kamae. We're going to pull with our right hand and block our men. They're coming for hasso sne. We're going to turn and defend our leg. We're going to step out to our left and backwards, pulling up with our left hand as we do so. So we end up in a hasso. And from here, remember, their weapon is down at our leg. Their body is leant over in sne. Their head is a beautiful target at the moment. So we're now just going to step forward and do hasso men. Now from here, we're basically telling them we're in control. So we do a very slow 2 steps backwards. So ayumiyashi, so step back to the left foot first. But as we do so, we're going to bring our weapon down by releasing our left hand back into chudan. And the idea is you are tracing that line down the center of their body. You're always keeping it at pressure so they feel like, ooh, I really better not try anything right now. So we've done our men. We take 2 steps backwards, let our left hand slide down the weapon, ich, ni. They will then step back in that salute where you come to center, come back into chudan, and then we walk them back 4 steps. So we walk forward, ich, ni, san, shi, until we're back where we began. So this is the uchi roll. This is the senior side of the kata. And the idea is you're helping them show off, but because you're senior, you get to kill them. It's a prerogative of being the receiver in this role. So we're just going to take that through again. I'll do it from this angle, so you get a few different angles. We step back and block men. They're coming for hustle snare. We turn and block snare. We step out to our left, pulling the weapon up into hustle. We step forward with our left foot and do hustle men. We take 2 steps backward, lowering the naginata. Ich, ni. They step back, they center, they come back to chudan, and we walk them back 4 steps. We go forward 4 steps. Ich, ni, san, shi. And that is the kata. I'm going to do it facing you as well this time. So, chudan okumae. They're coming for men, we pull with our right hand and block men. They're coming for our leg, we turn and block our leg. We step out to our left, pulling the naginata from hustle. We go hustle men. We take 2 steps backwards, lowering our weapons to their center. Ich, ni. Salute, come back to center. We walk them forward 4 steps. Ich, ni, san, shi. So your role as the uchi is not just to help them show off the initial cuts. It's to give them guidance. It's to block correctly so that they're blocking the right part. And because you can see where you're going, it's to get both of you back to where you started. So if you're doing this in a dojo, normally you'd have an area in the shiaijo floor where you'd have markings. Where you start is where you want to finish. Because if you've got a panel of judges grading you, they're going to be sitting right at that center spot. You need to come back to center each time. The person who's walking forward is almost always going to be the uchi or the senior. You can see where that center is, and they need to walk you back accordingly. A lot of complexities, but generally don't have to worry until you're actually dealing with a real partner. But this is just to help your mindset. How did we all go with ipponme, both the attacks and the blocks? Yeah, a lot of thumbs up. Excellent. Okay. Nihonme. Going to rush through. We're going to look at nihonme, which is a reversal of ipponme. So again, we start with the shidachi, where the junior, the receiver, attacker role. We start with Furikayashi snare. And then we go into hustle men. We wait. They step off the line. They go for our leg. They retreat into chudan. Again, we step back, bring our hands to center. We step forward into chudan okumae. And they walk us back to where we started. Ich, ni, san, shi. We'll repeat this. So remember, Furikayashi snare, hustle men. Furikayashi snare, hustle men. Wait. They nuite. They do a hustle snare. They retreat. Step back. We step forward into chudan. And we get pushed back where we started. Ich, ni, san, shi. So that's the shidachi roll. Fairly easy. Very similar to number 1. You're really just reversing which attack or target you're using for the cut. So bearing that in mind, the uchi roll is very similar to ipponme. Again, you're pretty much just reversing what you're cutting. So if we start as the uchi or the senior role, the receiver, they're going for Furikayashi snare. This time we're going to do a block called gedan. We're going to take 1 step back, so 1 kuriyashi back. As we do so, relax the front hand to left hand, and the right hand is going to turn and come up to your shoulder. And then you're going to lock the weapon against your body. Basically, across your sternum in the center, halfway between the nipples. If you're a lady, it's much easier to find that spot. For a guy, you're really just finding it on the chest, halfway between the pectoral muscles. This is gedan. You can see that I have my blade quite low down because it's defending my leg. And I pull the weapon right into my body. So it's touching, it's forceful. I cannot pull it any further back because my body is stopping it. This is what makes it a strong block. So from chudan, we step back with the right leg as our right hand comes up and locks to the body into gedan. Our next block is going to be against a hustle men. We're going to block with this end, the button, the ishizuki. So again, as we step back with our left leg, the push, you can push the weapon a little bit further through your hands towards your head if you want. Doesn't matter if you can't. It's a bit harder when you don't have a naginata. You turn and block your head as they've gone for Hasamen. From here, we're going to Nuita again. So we're going to step out to our left. It's a bit easier to come into Haso here because our left hand is almost in position. It just comes up. And we resettle the right hand down by our hip. It might be slightly off position, so you can adjust it if you need to. Don't worry too much. Let's take that back. So, start in Chudan. We step back with our right hand and right leg to block snare. We step behind ourselves to turn backwards, block mem. We step out to the left and back, bringing our hands up into hustle. And because they've gone for our men cut, the snare, the leg is now available. So we're going to step through and do hustle snare. So we've finished out the final cut. Again, we're going to take 2 steps backward, and as we do so, you push up off that left leg, you're going to start bringing it up to their center. So it's again, very much a pressure position. They'll step back, they'll come back into Chudan, and you'll take them 4 steps backwards to center. So you go, ich, ni, san, shi. So this is nihonme, the shikata, uchiro. I'll run it facing you as well. So they're going for Furikayashi snare. We step back, right hand, right leg, defend our leg. They're going for hustle men, we turn and block men. We're going to step off to our left, bring our weapon up into hustle. And we're going to go hustle snare. We take 2 steps backwards, come to center, ich, ni. They step back, they come back into Chudan. We take 4 steps forward, ich, ni, san, shi. So this is nihonme. How are we all going with that?
Good.
Okay. So what we're going to do now is very quickly, I realize we're running out of time. I'm going to just take you through the receiver roll of number 5, because we did go over that last week. And I still want to get you to do some other things today.
Sorry,
So
Em, I have to head off, unfortunately.
That's okay. No, that's all good. The recording will be up a bit later. It's good to see you.
No worries. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Em. Cheers.
All right. So number 5, gohonme. So the receiver roll for this is we start in Chudan. Our partner is coming for our do, our center cut. So we pull the weapon through with our right hand, and we do a send and marking block, but very low to defend our center. From here, we're going to give them the first of our harais. So our left hand is going to slide in close to our body as we step back and push it down towards our left leg. That's going to generate them into Furikayashi men. We're going to step back and bring our weapon up to defend our head. From here, we're going to do an otoshi. So our right foot will step forward. We'll change the position of our naginata, and we're going to hit across. So we're going to deflect across our body so the weapon's out of the way. From here, we're going to take our left hand up to our shoulder, our right hand down. And from this position, we're going to swing it up in a kind of a half circle through our right hand to do a dortsuki. And then we're going to pull it back into Chudan as we take 2 steps backwards. So go ich, ni. We step forward, come down into Chudan, and we return them to center with 4 steps. Ich, ni, san, shi. Sorry, I have to rotate around because there's not a lot of room to do this. So this is the attacker roll, the uchi roll of number 5. So this is the senior roll. All right, we're just going to run through that again. So we start in Chudan. They come for do, so we pull back and block the do. We're going to give a harai down to our left as we step back. They'll come for Furikayashi men, so we lift the blade up and block men as we step back. So their weapon is now on the left side, on the right side of ours. We bring our right foot forward as we bring the weapon up and holding it against the body, so use your belly as a pivot, deflect across. Use your left hand to pull the weapon up to shoulder height, and then step through futsuki. As you step back, throw the weapon back with your left hand into what's called waki. bring the left foot forward as you bring the weapon over the top, right foot back, right foot, right arm back. And we take 4 steps forward. Ich, ni, san, shi. Now, this one obviously makes it a little bit harder to understand what's going on without the other part of the roll. So while you repeat that, I'm going to do the shidachi roll, so you can see what's happening. So we both start in shura no kamae. While you wait there, I go into what we call waki no kamae, which is reversing my weapon. I'm going to step through and I'm going to cut do as you step back and block. So my weapon is now on this side of you. Your weapon is over here. You're going to harai down to your left, which pushes my weapon down here. I take advantage to go into Furikayashi, and you're going to step back and block men. From here, my weapon, your weapon's on this side. So you're going to turn 180 degrees, and you're going to smack my weapon over this way. You should see now that my do is available. So you're going to pull your weapon up with your left hand, up to your shoulder, and then you're going to step in, and you're going to strike with the butt of your weapon to my do. You'll then take 2 steps backwards, rolling your weapon back so it's a bit more balanced. Then you're going to step forward, bring the weapon over the top to come back into shura no kamae as I come back to meet you. And then you're going to push me back 4 steps. Ich, ni, san, shi. So that is what it looks like with a partner. We're going to run it one more time just so you can get, again, that visual. We start in shura no kamae. I go into waki no kamae. I step through and go for your door. You step back and block. You're going to harai, so you're going to push my weapon down to your left as you step backwards. You're going to step back and block your men. Sorry, it's a bit glary on this side. You're now going to turn 180 degrees and hit my weapon with the other side of your Naginata. You're going to pull your weapon up with your left hand to your shoulder, and then you're going to step forward and in to strike at my door. You're going to take 2 steps back. You're going to step forward and bring your weapon over into shura. And then you're going to walk me back 4 steps. Good. Does that give you a little bit more sense of how gohonme works? Okay. Now I've got a choice for you, so you can all kind of have your voices in this one. Do you want to learn that the other side of number 5, or would you like to do some oil or waza, which is kind of a defense and attacks that we did last week right at the end?
I'm on Team Waza. If anyone else is.
Okay. All right, let's go with some waza. Learning the other side of the card will probably take a bit more time, so I might focus on that again next week and build that up now that 1 and 2 are relatively safe, and Uchikaishi. So, Waza. This is basically kind of a call and response setup, as we did last week. So one person makes an attack, the other person receives, and follows up with a counterattack. We're just going to start with the basic one we did last week, which is the men snake. So if we're both in shura, I give you a men, you bring your left foot back, you bring your hands up to block men. And then because my weapon is above here and my leg is open, you're going to step out to your left and bring your weapon down to attack snake. So it's not a pure hustle, it's just coming from here, bring that right hand into your sternum and let your left hand slide through to create hustle snake. So in your own time, as you see me attack, you're going to respond. So don't worry about anyone else in the Zoom show. Then Hajime. Men. Good, reset. Hajime. Men. One more. Men. Good. We're going to do a variation on that now. So again, men snake, but this time instead of blocking here, you're going to step back, come into a sendan maki block. And from here, you're going to do something that you haven't done before. And this is attacking snake with the ushizuki end. So if you imagine, I've come through to attack men, I've stepped back, blocked here, which means I'm fairly close. I'm going to step into my partner And as I do so, I'm going to bring the butt of my weapon around to strike their leg. If you're turning 180 degrees, the weapon really doesn't move except to smack into their leg. This is one of the few times you use the Ishizuki as the attack side. So it's fairly safe on Snake because we do have armor on there. So as I come to men, you pull back and sendanmaki, you step through with your right leg, and you attack Snake. Okay? So here we go again. I'm going for men. Men. Good. Men. Last one. Men. Good. All right. So that's a couple of men snake variations. What happens if they go for snake first? So we've got someone who's gone Furikayashi snake. So the first variation we're going to learn is coming up into gedan. So from here, the right hand just pulls up, locks your leg as you step back. We've got a few options. We can either step out to our left and back. So I could step out and bring the weapon over for men. So it kind of comes from gedan into a very narrow kind of U shape into a men cut. Or I can step off to the right and bring the weapon down for a snake cut. So there are two options. You step back and block snake. If you step out to the left, you're going to bring the weapon over the top to men. If you step out to the right, you're going to bring the butt of the weapon down to strike snake. We're going to do this one a few times, and I'm going to let you choose which one you're practicing at any given time. So if you just want to do one of them, if you just want to do men, that's fine. If you just want to do snare, that's fine. If you want to mix and match, go ahead. So this is a chance for you just to experience making the decision on the fly, as it were. So, hajime. Snare. 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 Last one. Snare. Good. How'd you find that? Good. Okay. So I'm going to try something a little bit different. Normally we do this more than when we're in person, and when you've got a few more techniques or practice with. But I am going to now go for either men or snake. I'm not going to tell you which. What I want you to do is take those blocks that we've just learned and those retaliations and see if you can pick it, which one I'm going for, and then follow it up with a counterattack. Doesn't matter if you get it wrong. It's not like I'm going to hit you. But I want you to start trying to watch. I'm going to try and give things away with where I'm looking. That's normally a sign when someone's a beginner, they'll look where they're going to attack. So try and watch that to see if that'll tell you, am I going for your head? Am I going for your leg? And give yourself some time. Once you've made the block, you can take a little bit more time to think about what you want to attack, but look at what's open on my body and use whatever technique. It doesn't have to be pretty. I can't tell right now. So block as best as you can, and then attack a part of my body that looks open with a technique that you've learned. So we start in Shudan. I'm starting in hustle. Men. Next technique. I'm going from hustle, snare, back to Chudan, men, and again, men, and again, snare, men, Mem. Last one. Mem. How do we go? Yeah? It is for this, for this.
Yeah, country
It's
internet doesn't make it easy.
It's a really interesting way to start breaking out of particular patterns. Usually when people start to do this, they have two reactions. You'll have the people who'll seize up because they'll get to the block part and then they'll get struck by indecision about what to do next. And that is perfectly normal. And then you get the other people who are anticipating every movement and they're so full of energy. There's, and they really love this kind of this workout. As I said, once you know the basic techniques, so you know some of the blocks, you know some of the cuts, you know where the targets are. This is about breaking away from preset patterning to start trusting your instinct, to start looking at what the other person is doing so that you can go and make, leg is open, ski is open, kote is open. I mean, we haven't done kote and nodo for a few reasons, but it gives you a chance to start looking at it not just as a preset bunch of patterns, but as techniques that will evolve and change depending on the situation. So, as I said, it's a nice little way to start, I guess, latching onto that mentality. As it were. Did anyone have any questions, comments, thoughts about this week's session? Any problems?
Nothing. Yes, we're fine.
Alrighty. Well, look, we're going to be in lockdown next week. We can pretty much guarantee that. So there will be another session.
Just to
Yep. Go ahead, Effie.
Oh, I think she may have dropped out.
Yeah, the connections haven't been great today, unfortunately.
Yeah, Effie, you're muted at the moment if you're still there.
I'm still here. It was really quick one because I know we're on time. I'm just wondering, you know how you said we had to be back at the starting position? What happens if you're partnered with someone really tall or a different height, I guess? Because that's going to mean you have to change your footwork. So does it? I don't know.
A little bit. Basically, a lot of the time what it means is it changes where your hand sits on the naginata. Yes, if someone has very long legs compared to you, they will step back further. But part of this is, I'm going to show you with the naginata again. So on the blade or the hubble, there is a point where the curve changes from the upward to the downward or the horizontal, around about here. So 10 or 15 centimeters down the weapon. Now on a Atarashi naginata, this is a bamboo, and there's normally a very natural knot they try and make at that point, or leave at that point so you can see it. Whenever you come into chudan, or whenever you make an attack or a block, you're always trying to use that point of the weapon. So that when we are walking back, we both come into chudan, get the trusted broomstick out. So we're crossing here at our mono-witch, for example. What we want to do is maintain that distance the whole way back. So the person who is pushing that way, if they end up this far here, it means this person needs to take bigger steps. If, however, they start opening a slide, it means that the person going backwards needs to take smaller steps so that on the next step, they get closer to meeting at mono-witch each time. So it's basically about working with a partner. So it's a very good question, and it's a lot harder to replicate when you can't see anyone. But the idea is that when you're doing kata, when you're doing anything that's a sort of a preset pattern or technique that is supposed to work together, you should always be trying to maintain that distance, that mai, as it's called. For those of you who need to know, MAAI. And that's talking about the optimal separation, optimal distance between you two. Churanokomai, it's where the two naginata meet or cross at mono-witch, so about a 15 centimeter crossover. You can have what's called chikamai, where you're in closer than that. And that normally means that you're within a very close target position. So it's much easier for you to attack them or them to attack you. So it's a little bit more dangerous. And you have Toma, where the mono-ichi aren't actually crossing, they're further apart. And so in order to make an attack or receive, there's more distance to be taken into account. But again, when you're working together, when it's in kata, you're always aiming to cross at 9. And that just helps dictate where you are in the dojo, where you are in the kata. So it's always about working together.
Perfect. Thanks, Jen. That was a
No,
good
you're welcome.
explanation.
It was a good question. And again, because you haven't seen me doing this with a partner, it's not an easy one to come up with out of thin air. So really good question to ask. In fact, there was a lot of good questions today. So thank you very much. Again, feel free to put up your suggestions for what you might like to see next week. I might try not to do 1 and 2 next week. We'll spend a bit more time doing the other side of kata number 5. Because I'd like you to have a chance to look at Makiotoshi, which is an interesting technique, but it does take some finesse. A little bit more oil. And then maybe looking at doing the full hapobori. So before we sign off, I am just going to demonstrate the full hapobori to you, just so you know what you're in for. It is based on techniques you already know. So hapobori starts with the jogabori that we're already used to. So we normally do these in even counts. I'm just going to do 4 jogabori. Then we go into what's called nanamobori, which comes from the hustle position. And we do it to each side. So it's a very smooth motions. We then go into waki no gomai and do what's called yokobori, which is similar to what we call a dokat, which we haven't taken you through yet. The next set is nanamobori shikata, or nanamobori from below. So it's replicating that second set of cuts, but it's coming from a low angle to a high. And then we finish with Furikayashi snare, stepping back, snare. So that's jogabori, which basically refers to showing off 8 angles of cuts. And it's a long, elongated version of all of our techniques. So you don't do them exactly the same way as we would with our kihon or basic techniques, but it's a really nice way to start flowing between different kamae. So starting to use your handwork a little bit more to smooth out transitions. So yeah, hopefully we'll have a look at that next week as well. Yeah, look, thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for, coming during lockdown on your Saturday morning when we could all be in bed with a nice cup of tea, which is maybe where some of us are going after this, who knows. Yeah, lovely to spend the morning with you. And I'll have the recording up fairly shortly for you all too.
Thanks, MJ.
You